And welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. And quite interesting develops over the weekend from Friday. And I posted up 2 YouTube clips on the attack in Ohio, attempted attack on Trump directly, physical attack by a member of MoveOn.org. It also happens to be a supporter of ISIS. We also have pretty good evidence now that I've been talking to Tim Alexander beforehand that much of the organization that supports Hillary Clinton, they financially support MoveOn.org and Black Lives Matter. They were at that rally. One black man who just finished his MBA is a Trump supporter, was about to set up his own restaurant, had a nice big, very well done T-shirt and well done sign, "I support Donald Trump." They shot and killed him. So if you don't think that this is out of control, when people think that protesting inside violently and pushing against people and so on is okay, it's not. It's not okay to interfere with our free speech and the free speech of people in Chicago that want to go to the Trump rally. He's not stopped it, he's just postponed it. And believe me, they'll have much better security around it. There seems to be some direct connections because the only signs there were from Bernie Sanders, which I'm sure wasn't tied directly because he has no support from Black Lives Matter or MoveOn.org. The MoveOn.org actually has taken credit for this obscenity, and George Soros, who should have a SWAT team swat him, like they supposedly did to Osama bin Laden, he should be swatted. This is ridiculous. Why do we put up with this? And if people think that this is democracy to have protests coming in and violently attack our presidential candidate, it's not. It's not acceptable. We're not going to put up with it. And I hope that Trump, who wears body armor, puts a Kevlar shield around himself, only has one side with the crowd there so he can escape or pull back, has better security. The Secret Service did not do a very good job there at all. We could see he needs to have private security, and he needs to have a Kevlar shield between him and the public, because this is pretty obscene. Clay, we were just talking about the attacks on Trump over the weekend. You know, people think there's no connection with this and healthcare and functional medicine wellness, and of course there is. Obama's Obamacare has wrecked healthcare completely. It also, we still have an out-of-control department like the Food and Drug Administration that try to go after nutritional companies while they're trying to make alternatives to the toxic polypharmacy that literally is a form of poisoning you. They poison one pathway or another and then expect you to stay well. They might prolong your life, but actually what they're doing is what I call they're extending your death span, not your lifespan. In other words, the time of death may be delayed, but you'll be miserable before you go.
Yeah.
People say, Dr. Deagle, that's terrible for you to say that. Wouldn't that be considered a form of blasphemy? Yeah, tough luck. It is. People need to understand how bad things are in terms of what's going on with the whole healthcare system. And I also see lots of what I call yahoos out there, people that are untrained in functional medicine, even companies that do blood testing, functional medicine blood testing, trying to get into the market to see if they can go diagnose and recommend nutritionals directly without the interface of a functional medicine doctor. And I'm talking about an MD or DO trained in functional medicine, belonging to one of our academies with years of experience. These other yahoos out there that are herbologists, naturopaths, etc., that don't have this kind of training and can't read an MRI scan, CT scan, blood work, genetic analysis, etc., they need to shut the heck up. They need to stop pretending that they are what they aren't. And when I hear people recommending their nutraceuticals that don't have the backing of our academies or our scientists, they are causing danger not only to the public, but they're also causing danger to the development of what we call advanced functional anti-aging medicine, which is literally in converging to extend human lifespan. We're talking about peptides that alter your DNA, scalar technologies, genetic testing like 23andMe and Prometheus analysis, functional medicine labs, advanced what we call pharma nutraceuticals, because that's what NutriMeds are. They're not just nutraceuticals like, GNC vitamins that are, we call them latrine bullets. They are advanced nutraceuticals. So you heard that term before, have you, latrine bullets?
Oh, yeah, the clinkers.
They're clinkers, yeah. In other words, when they clean out the latrines with a power washer, they go clink, clink, because you can still see read the label on the other side of the Centrum vitamins, etc. People say, no, yeah, they got carnauba wax. They don't dissolve. So let's talk. People say, no, Dr. Deagle, it's not that bad. No, it's much worse than that, but I can only tell you the top bit that you might be able to absorb. without freaking out completely. If you trust your doctor, you're a fool without being informed. That's why we talk about pro se litigant with how to win in court to make you wise with your lawyers. This is how you become wise with all your doctors and dentists and so on. I recently had an email, for example, by a gentleman in Australia, and he got quite sick because they took out his mercury amalgams without any safety procedures, hardly at all. Here in North America, which is more advanced than some, not as advanced as Europe, because I did the original research with Dr. Murray Vimes 36 years ago on mercury amalgams. And by the way, when I was doing my research, I got threatened by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta that because I was recommending equations and body burden toxicology material to my dentist friend who's working on his PhD in dental pathology, they were threatening to pull my license, listen to this, for helping him, just giving him research designs and data. What do you think of that? Pretty damn disgusting, isn't it? And you think that I'm going to support this medical profession? I'm going to revolutionize it from the inside by training you, the public, and doctors out there. And there's lots of doctors, not just in America, but around the world that are listening. And they know that I'm on fire and I'm not going to put up with any crap from anybody, period, ever. Got it. As I get older, I get more persnickety and more willing to not take any captives. If you come in battle with me, it's going to be a fight to the death. How's that? Intellectually and otherwise. So I want to go over some of the recent nutraceuticals in terms of how we approach these things. A lot of people are not aware that of just how powerful the idea of advanced nutraceuticals are if you could use them properly. For example, let's say we talk about trying to correct attention deficit disorder. First thing we talk about is Cognition Plus and Brain Power and Brain Mag. Things that will improve the neurological function, including what's called, and we're renaming some of these to make them easier to understand, are special forms of Nutrimedical, which is a special acetylcholine for the brain, or uridine monophosphate, or these others. Well, what we're doing is we're trying to make them more understandable so you'll know why we recommend them. For example, for anemia, the very first thing I recommend is our iron ferritin, BioLVR, which is an excellent product that contains activated B6, B12, and folate. You can take additional sublingual orange-flavored power-methyl B12 tablets that are better than the injection because it actually doesn't need to be converted in your body. And superfolate, which the body has tremendous trouble converting for a quarter of the world's population, and the Hispanic population, it can be up to half. And then, of course, to support your bone marrow, Mountain Red Velvet is excellent for supporting bone marrow growth. So let's talk for a minute about things like, I had a call this morning, and by the way, we get calls from veterinary calls to try to help different people with their pets, dogs, cats, even horses. I had a consult this morning about a horse who has narcolepsy. One of the first things, of course, you dose up the dosage, but believe it or not, the physiology is not all that much different. So I recommend an Arrival, which is tyrosine with Cognition Plus, and we're going to try to increase the energetics of the astrocytes in the horse's brain so they don't end up keeling over and having narcoleptic attacks and falling over, maybe breaking something. So Cognition Plus, I call it the smarter than an hour pill, and then Brain Power to protect your brain from oxidative stress. Its little brother, of course, is Synaptin, but let's talk about Cognition Plus and Brain Power. These are really essential. I get into my daughter all the time with Down syndrome. I take them myself. I don't think people realize the amount of stress on the human nervous system nowadays and how much it can induce all kinds of different illnesses that you don't think are brain illnesses, like weight gain, anxiety, depression, diabetes, even cancer has to be maintained by nerve circuits in the brain, believe it or not. So when we come back, we'll talk about Cognition Plus and Brain Power, and Clay will have more chance to talk. Welcome back, and so for brain function, it's really important to understand that the brain is a chemical machine, and if you get provided with the right nutrients, you can turn off oxidative stress, restore neurotransmitters, help the nerves to start healing and remyelinating and regrowing. In fact, we have neurocytes in your brain, so Cognition Plus, Brain Power, and Brain Mag are the three toppies to start with. We can add Synaptin, things like Neurogen, which is docosahexaenoic acid, and Minerals Plus to help with the neurotransmitter conversion. But there really is no excuse for people suffering. We have, for example, for the middle ear, we add to that Minerin. We might have things for remyelinating the middle ear nerves that have been damaged, such as Neurogen, which is docosahexaenoic acid from algae base. So let's talk about Cognition Plus and brain power. This, we use these over again in different protocols, but they're so useful, aren't they?
Yeah, I really love the Cognition Plus. When you look at all the different research, you can find it on Medline or PubMed. You look at different ingredients nutritionally that you can use for the eye. You find that all the top ingredients that are studied to help support brain health, are found in Cognition Plus. You got the activated B6, activated folic acid, activated B12. So that means that they're body ready. The body can absorb them better. You have acetyl L-carnitine and acetylcysteine, ginkgo biloba extract. You have bacopa extract, phosphatidylserine, vinpocetine, resveratrol, and huperzine A. And so really, it's the top product that I've seen for brain support out there. 1 to 2 caps a day is really the maximum dosage, and it's something foundational that most adults should be on. And I don't know anybody who doesn't seem to have a senior moment once in a while, even in their 20s and 30s these days.
People under stress from smart meters, Wi-Fi networks, cell phones, from toxic pollution, mineral depletion, toxic chemicals in the environment, including things like fracking, which, by the way, Hillary Clinton supports because she doesn't want to upset her Democratic the state governors of states where they're fracking and ruining the ground table water. Let's talk about inflammation. I have a recent consult, somebody that had a spinal injury from a very bad car accident. They ended up with a brain hemorrhage, got the hemorrhage evacuated, developed post-traumatic brain issues, etc., which, of course, we support with our nutraceuticals, and you can recover much farther, faster, better with that, and hyperbaric oxygen, transcranial lumen photon, setting 3, and micropulse. But inflammation from the spinal injury. The first thing I recommend is Inflamex, Joint Performance, Tendon Mender, Semethyl, and Collagen Max, and then Mountain Red Velvet. Let's talk about some of these. You got to stop the inflammation. It's the Wobenzym N formula plus the serapeptase silkworm enzyme. Joint Performance to rebuild the joints which have been damaged, like the disc areas and the joints, the interdiscal areas, and the apophyseal joints on either side of the spine. Tendon Mender, because the interspinous ligaments are inflamed and the tendons or tenocytes are all aggravated. Semethyl to rebuild the cartilage. People don't realize that methylation and semethyl is one of the best ways to rebuild it. Collagen Max to triple the rate of the regeneration of collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, which is, by the way, the polymer in your joints, like your discs in your back. And Mountain Red Velvet, which you recommend you open them. You get more molecules absorbed quicker under your tongue. And we're working on a surgical form that will be a DR cap or a slow release cap that releases the lower bowel. So you'll absorb more of the fragile molecules, and a surgical version of it too for surgeons. So let's talk about Inflamex, Joint Performance, Tendon Mender, Semethyl, and Collagen Max. These are amazing, aren't they?
They are, yeah. The Tendon Mender is unlike anything I've seen in the marketplace because it does give you the mucopolysaccharides and type 1 collagen, and as you know, that's what the ligaments and tendons are made up of, is the type 1 collagen. So it's important to get the specific type of raw material that the body needs to support those parts of the body. It just makes sense.
Now, the Semethyl, of course, is going to help with the formation of cartilage along with the Collagen Max and these other components like the Tendon Mender and Joint Performance. Let's talk about autoimmune conditions. It doesn't matter if it's autoimmune thyroid, scleroderma, mixed connective tissue disease, MS. The first thing you want to take is Malignant Arrest, 2 packets a day. Power C Plus, high dose. We're talking about as much as 6 to 9 capsules 3 times a day. Nutrimune, immunoglobulins, at least 4 capsules twice a day. You want to be taking things to help repair the DNA and turn down cytokines. Cell defense reduces cytokine levels. You want to be taking ellagic acid, Maligna Block, and full vitamin K2. And the dosage is 1 full vitamin K2 for every 3 Power C Plus. So if you're taking 9 Power C, you'll be taking 3 full vitamin K2, the same as ellagic acid and Maligna Block. And these are all we call DNA repair apoptogenic agents that actually make your cells kill off abnormal cells. What happens is when cells become autoimmune, they actually start to manifest antigens on the cell surface that stimulate your immune system to attack it. So it's not just a one-way street where all of a sudden your immune system goes crazy. No, it's the cells and tissues go anaerobic, and they display antigens that cause your immune system to attack it and think it's non-self. So there's a tissue change that people aren't aware of. I discovered this some years ago, about 6 years ago, that the underlying metabolic problems of autoimmune disease are identical to the first stages of cancer. Interesting, hey?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, very interesting. They're both anaerobic conditions.
Is that why you like the
liver
Power C Plus in high doses? Use that?
Day, and it'll get your body alkaline. You can't, by the way, if you're in a Gerson-style ketogenic diet, which you can test your urine, and mild hyperbaric oxygen, and you're alkalinized with Power C Plus and these apoptogenic agents, you're going to dramatically change things. We also add micelle D3 and myco D2 because vitamin D is important for granulocyte macrophage activation factor, GCMAF, which your body makes. By the way, that's the source from the Channel Islands when people are getting it until they shut them down. They had some, in stage 2 cancer, up to 90% success rate by just getting GCMF from healthy people, concentrated and extracted and then given to people that have cancer, and they were able to fight it with just that one thing alone. That's amazing. So even if you have more advanced cancer, it's going to help your survival, especially if you take our other nutraceuticals. Whether you do conventional treatment or alternative care like gene-based cancer treatment or the lymphocyte activation, which is available in other countries, or the dendritic vaccine. Alcoholic liver damage, Nutrifos, BioLVR, Minerals Plus, Cell Defense. You got to turn off the liver inflammation. That's Cell Defense. The Minerals Plus help your body incorporate the phospholipids for Nutrifos, and BioLVR helps the detox process. That's why whenever we had somebody come in with alcoholic liver problems, we would give them a vitamin B cocktail intravenously so they wouldn't get Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, where if you get B vitamin deficiency, you start to get the death of your cells in your hippocampus and you lose your mind. You're seeing little elephants bouncing around on the walls. You don't just, it's not just a minor problem to be in delirium tremens. You can actually start to get the death of cells in your hippocampus and you lose your ability to retain memories or to learn. So acute alcoholic toxic state is very dangerous. And B vitamins will rescue it.
You know, and how little alcohol would trigger something like that?
A lot of alcohol over a lot of time, but some people, the first 2 or 3 heavy drinking sessions, if they're a teenager or young in their 20s and they haven't drank before. So ultrathiamine B1, or BioLVR, some methyl will help rescue them. Those are the main ones to rescue them. Yeah, interesting. Thank you, Clay. We will see you next Monday.
Thank you.
Going to continue. By the way, you can call in any hour of the program, 800-259-5791, to ask a question. It has to be tied to the topic we're discussing. If it's doing with natural medicine, we can talk about that in this first hour. In hour number 2, I'm going to be joined by Matthew. He'll talk about a number of services and products he has. We had a really good discussion over the weekend about what happened with the Trump attack by MoveOn.org and Black Lives Matter, which is these are thug organizations, and we have to realize this is not free speech when you close off somebody else's free speech. It's not reasonable to come in and literally threaten people to support Donald Trump. It's not okay. And we're going to talk about the same thing with we have to take pro-litigant action. I had some really good response last week with people that were looking at the website for how to win in court. But I want people to pick up the course. Stop just pretending that maybe you really care. It doesn't matter who you vote for. If you don't have a pro-litigant course to be able to take out pro-litigant action on issues that deal with your school board, your state, your city, and federal government, we're the fourth branch of government. We have to do something. The same way as we, the citizens, have to force our physicians to come into the 21st century. A lot of health insurance carriers keep shoving down our throat toxic polypharmacy, and they need to stop. We need to stop participating by taking their, by using their care when all they want to do is give you another drug, another this, another that, to chase your symptoms away. And in fact, what they often do is will poison you and cause new problems that will cause all kinds of deadly side effects, many of them which will cause death. So that's why we try to give you alternatives. Now, I want to talk about some of the other areas, some of the ones that are, in a sense, are more common but not as dangerous. Hair balding. And we're renaming a lot of them so you can still recognize them, but we want to have you understand the nature of these very powerful nutraceuticals. Recidival Hair Tonic is excellent twice a day. Collagen Max, Mountain Red Velvet to stop balding. We also will recommend, especially in women that are having balding, they take the hormone synergy because it'll prevent their body from converting female to male hormone. Because a lot of time, if they have any male receptors in their hair follicles and they start developing male hormone, they'll actually cause balding or senescence of those hair follicles. So for women, add to that Recidival, Collagen Max, Mountain Red Velvet. They should also probably take hormone synergy. For bipolar depression, I recommend BioLVR, Posinol, which I call Mood Elevator. It's really good for elevating your mood. And Calm Mind and Brain Mag as a drink. Okay, that combination works very well. If you have low energy level, we're talking about adding Nariva, which is acetyltyrosine. Bladder irritability, very common in both men with prostate enlargement or women with uterine enlargement or chronic trigonitis of their bladder. Swedish flower pollen, 1 to 2 tablets 4 times a day. Bladder up, 1 to 2 soft gels morning and bedtime. And cell defense, 2 caplets 3 times a day. We're dealing with brain anti-aging. People say, well, I want to protect my brain. Well, start off with Cognition Plus, 2 capsules twice a day. Brain Power, 1 capsule twice a day. And Synaptin, 1 capsule twice a day. You can also add other things for brain support, Neurogen for myelination of the brain, cell detox glutathione, and Nutritrel and Regenerex for protecting the brain from oxidative stress. And also to improve brain function, the NADH tablets, and it's been found that nicotine and adenine dinucleotide hydride, and with that D-ribose, which I call D-ribose ATP because it converts directly to adenosine triphosphate, and CoQ10 Supreme Ubiquinol will increase the energetic level of the brain. Brain memory, Cognition Plus, CDP choline, uridine monophosphate, and ultrathymine B1, and BioLVR. So if you're trying to increase memory, you want to increase cholinergic pathways. That helps tremendously. Breast health. You want to detox the breast. I recommend, by the way, for breast screening, what you do is do a digital thermogram. There's a number of nurse practitioners or doctors that have digital thermography centers. Far more accurate than doing a X-ray, which, by the way, the X-rays are accumulated will have an increased risk of causing breast cancer. So I recommend digital thermography. If it's positive, the next step is to do an MRI scan with a carbon marker if there's any abnormal changes in the breast so they can monitor it. And there are also specific blood tests for cancer markers that can actually determine if you've got early stage cancer of the breast. Nutraceuticals are xenoestrogen detox that gets rid of the xenotoxins or endocrine disruptors. Nutrimedical, at least 10 drops in water twice a day. Nutridefense, the anhydrous catechins pull out the toxic endocrine disruptors, and Nutrifos, phospholipid for regenerating the breast tissue. Nutridyne, very important. Bronchitis, inhalation with Silver 100. Sets of 3 sprays, hold for a count of 10 and repeat. Cell detox glutathione, 2 capsules 3 times a day, and you can also grind a capsule and put it in Omron or Sinupulse or MyPure Mist. And I'll be putting up a link site for a few products that I find over at Amazon that are good, like a MyPure Mist, which we don't carry, that you can find a link from our site to the ones I recommend, whether it's exercise or other types of equipment. Nutrimedical, 15 drops in water 3 times a day. And by the way, I want people to know, if you're trying to listen to the program, do go to Nutrimedical.com to listen to the MP3 Listen Live archives or the Listen Live button. Use our website because it's so busy over at GCN Live, it's harder to find the spots. Just go to our website. It takes you directly to the right page. And if you have a question about any nutraceuticals, I answer everybody's email. Doesn't matter if you've never ordered before. Everyone can email me. Callbacks are just for our people who have been ordering at least 6 times in the last year or have placed a $1,000 order. Those are called our elite. But really, anybody can email me a question on anything, and I'll give them a quick protocol. If I decide that the amount of information you're sending me requires a consultation, I'll recommend it, and how many units I'd recommend to start with, depending on the size of information and time we need to spend, at $150 per half hour. And I can recommend the number of units necessary in order for me to do a phone consultation to deal with it, whether it's cancer or autoimmune disease or post-chemotherapy or whatever. Trying to recover from very nasty things. For example, there was just a recall recently for wonderful pistachios. And they're very careful because the FDA and the labs test them. 2 of the small batches got salmonella. I eat these regularly because they're fantastic for your bowels and for your immune system and so on. Pistachio nuts. What you have to do is you want to take a probiotic, Living Probiotic Ultra, a capsule every 2 or 3 days. Nutrimedical, 15 drops 3 times a day. Allicin Med, a capsule 3 times a day. And Silver 100. This is for dysbiosis. You can also take berberstatin and the Living Probiotic, 1 capsule twice a day. For cancer prevention, Malignant Block, 2 capsules 3 times a day. Ellagic acid from the Terminella Chibulia, 2 capsules 3 times a day. Power C Plus, 3 to 6 capsules 3 times a day. And vitamin K2, and then Myco D2, which we call oncomycin. It helps to boost your immune system to find and fight cancer. Oncomycin or Myco D2. The cardiomyopathy, in fact, it's very often, we don't just have human people with cardiomyopathy. It's interesting, I've been helping a lady who is a pet lover, and she has a doggy who has congestive heart failure, and we have been able to keep him alive for years using nutraceuticals and gradually taper him off his so-called drug therapy. So his doctors do not understand why he's still alive. It's real simple. We're giving him support for cardiac mitochondria, his oxidative production of nitric oxide, his ability for his blood vessels to pump the blood because your heart only starts the initial shearing force wave. So the primary cardiomyopathy protocol for congestive heart failure, CoQ10 Supreme, CoQ10 ubiquinol, magnesium glycinate, the use of VascuCare, which are now coming back, and we also have the IBS Care slow release or time release carnitine, CardioVasc 15 to 45 drops or 1 to 3 capsules 3 times a day. And to boost the energetics, we also have mitochondrial catalysts, uridine, which is a triacyleuridine, etc., NADH, which will increase mitochondrial function in the heart and blood vessels. So there's no excuse to. We also add things like mild hyperbaric oxygen could be very helpful for congestive heart failure. So no need to succumb to all the toxic polypharmacy of the doctors. If you need it temporarily, take it, but taper and get discontinued as soon as you can. And if you need natural diuretics, Power C Plus is a great natural diuretic with a vein away. You do not want to be on powerful diuretics that mess up your electrolytes. Back in just a moment. Your questions, 800-259-5791. That happens especially if you travel a lot or your blood viscosity is increasing is deep vein thrombosis in the legs, especially if you do long distance travel. We recommend CardioVasc 15 to 45 drops or 1 to 3 capsules 3 times a day. Nattokinase, developed by Dr. Sumi in Japan and Dr. Holsworth here in America, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day. We can get in special order lumbrokinase, which is even stronger, but not necessary unless you've had a fixed obstruction. I recommend that you can do the PT-INR platelets, fibrin degradation products, C-reactive protein, and PI1 tests, PAI number 1, or plasminogen activator inhibitor 1. The special test I think is better than that is called the rheologic blood viscosity test, which if you consult me, I can actually provide the information on how to do advanced testing for hyperviscosity syndromes. I was a consultant in Denver for years with doctors, and including generalists and specialists, I now had a rheologic machine in my office. When you're dealing with depression, depression basically is just a neurotransmitter imbalance. I recommend BioLVR and Posinol, which we're renaming. It's going to be called Mood Elevator. CalMind and Brain Mag is 1 to 2 scoops in water 3 to 4 times a day. You can also take Spilkes, which means pins and needles. 1 to 3 capsules 3 times a day or twice a day. For depression, it responds very nicely to BioLVR, Simethyl, and Narival if there's low energy levels. Type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes responds to diabetoline and glycemic meal. Also to the use of microdose, which will release human growth hormone, helps increase IGF-1 levels, and mountain red velvet. Type 2 diabetes, we also recommend that you use the cell defense to reduce tissue inflammation and convert white fat to brown fat to burn off calories, because the adipocytes, your fat cells, are actually generating molecules. We found out that leukotriene B4, Research University California, San Diego, actually stimulates and causes insulin resistance, which is in type 2 diabetes. And by the way, a lot of type 1s will become type 2 over time if they have poor control. And everyone who's overweight has a form of, or we call pre-diabetic type 2 diabetes, where there's increased insulin, fasting, increased glucagon, decreased sensitivity to leptin, etc. So we need to correct that, and that's where we get things like NDMEs, Minerals Plus, ultrathymine B1, and Vein-Away to protect against the vascular damage to the blood vessel walls, ellagic acid, and Omega Supreme Krill. Berberstatin, very important, because basically all diabetics have some form of dysbiosis, and the berberstatin, Living Probiotic Ultra, and Allison Med, Nutridyne, and Silver 100 are very important for restoring normal bowel activity. I recommend the Living Probiotic Ultra for anybody who's diabetic, and every third day. Living Probiotic twice a day. Diabetic kidney nephropathy. Now you need to get your pressures down, but you need to make sure your perfusion is up. We will be bringing on the tech experts for the endothelix technology, which is measuring temperature for blood flow return, on the program sometime in the next month. You want to be taking Vein-Away, 1 to 2 capsules of diosmin twice a day to 3 times a day, ultrathymine BN1, 2 capsules twice to 3 times a day, and ellagic acid, 2 capsules 2 to 3 times a day, and Omega Supreme Krill with the astaxanthin to protect the vessel walls of the nephron. Diabetic polyneuropathy, BioLVR, ultrathymine B1, and Neurogen. If there's a neuropathy that's associated with multiple sclerosis, both peripheral and central, you can add sphingolin, which is myelin-basic protein. Diabetic retinopathy, Vision Max, Neurogen, Nutritrella, carnosine, which is a delinking agent we're going to be calling it carnosine D-link, because it delinks proteins that are inflamed, so does Nutritrella. And to reduce the cell defense and cell detox glutathione are very important, because if you have some diabetic retinopathy, you're going to have increased levels of hydroperoxy and nitroperoxy radical, which damage the mitochondria as well as your cells in the back of the eye and the myelin sheath. Diarrhea, IBS care after removal of gallbladder. IBS care, which is a slow-release carnitine, Living Probiotic, and Nutrifos to heal the wall, and then cell defense, anti-inflammatory cell defense. People with low digestive enzymes, this is picked up on a QRMA test or CDSA2 from Genova Labs in Atlanta. You want to take Digestes, a capsule before meals, and Gastrozyme, broad-spectrum plant-based, very broad. In fact, it covers even getting rid of glutenase to get rid of gluten. Gastrozyme and Berberstatin. That's a good start. There's some other things you can add to that for dysbiosis of the gut, including GastroHeal, zinc carnosine if you've got acid reflux or biogastritis. Diverticulosis. Again, colon cleanse to cleanse the lower bowel. Allison Med to penetrate through the biofilm. Collagen Max heal the weakened areas of the bowel wall, and Nutriodine 15 drops in water 3 times a day. You can also use GastroHeal, which zinc carnosine. It'll actually heal the GI tract from stem to stern, from the oropharynx all the way down to the rectosigmoid. Down syndrome, just the core protocol, Cognition Plus, Neurogen, and Brain Power, vinpocetine, and we can increase activity of the neurons as well with NADH tablets, with mitochondrial catalyst, uridine, CoQ10, Supreme Ubiquinol is the water-soluble form that absorbs to the brain cells. And as you increase, to reduce oxidative stress in the brain, because it's increased levels of hydroperoxy radical, gamma E+, and the use of cell detox glutathione. Very helpful to reduce oxidative stress in the brain. And you can measure brain markers. So if you have a child with Down syndrome, we did tests years ago. We have the protocol for measuring T-bars, which is oxidized fatty acids, and 8-hydroxy-2'-deoxyguanosine. Depleted uranium. Depleted uranium interferes with the other elements in the same place in the periodic table as cobalt, molybdenum, and chromium. So you can expect B12 deficiency imbalances, sugar problems, and wasting syndrome, because it interferes with the sugar metabolism through hexose monophosphate shunt. So we recommend Kilormax heavy metal remover, ultra liquid zeolite 15 drops in water 3 times a day, Samethyl to chelate out the heavy metals, and Minerals Plus to restore the other minerals that are being depleted. Pre-diabetic leptin metabolic, very important, by the way, for diabetes as well. leptin metabolic, lipo flush to mobilize fat into fat cells, and to force colon to convert white fat to brown fat, along with the lipo flush. Diabete max and glycemic meal. These are incredibly powerful. Eczema. Topically, you want to apply pregnenolone and curcumin cream. Orally, you want to be taking Allergon, which is our histamine enzyme. It's the first in the world, the only one available. Allerblock, a natural antihistamine. So Allergon, 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day, and Allerblock. Erectile dysfunction. And don't believe some of the foolishness out there. You're just a one-dose thing. The most important first thing is Cardiovasc and Supernox to restore nitric oxide metabolism. BioLVR and Men's Max to release male hormone from male, hormone sex-binding globulin, and to increase hormone output by the person, DHEA and pregnenolone cream, 2 to 3 pumps on the upper abdomen, lower chest, and then hormone synergy. So that helps with the erectile dysfunction. EMF sensitivity, Cognition Plus, brain power, and synaptin. Encephalitis. Nutrimedical, we're talking about high dosages here, 20 to 30 drops in water 3 to 6 times a day. Allicin 2 capsules every 3 to 4 hours. Nutritional Defense, 2 capsules 3 to 4 times a day. And Silver 100, 2 sprays or 6 drops per 10 pounds body weight 3 times to 4 times a day. Cell Detox Glutathione to reduce inflammation. Regenerex, 1 capsule twice a day. And then Neurogen, 4 soft gels twice a day for encephalitis. And these can be made actually as a smoothie too. They'll be given down a feeding tube if necessary. Endometriosis. The xenoestrogen detox. We've discovered that endometriosis is tied directly to the level of endocrine disruptors. So xenoestrogen detox, Nutrimedical, and NutriDefense will help to pull out the xenotoxins and the endocrine disruptors out of the body. Xenoestrogen detox, Nutrimedical, 15 drops 3 times a day. And, of course, the anhydrous catechin in NutriDefense will grab a hold of those toxins and yank them out along with the xenoestrogen detox. Energy. Sports Energy Light, Brain Mag. ALC 1000, which I consider what I call cell energy. D-ribose, it converts to ATP in arrival. And Cognition Plus, if you want energy and you're fatigued, athletic performance, this is the formula. Back in a moment with hour number 2 coming up. And hour 3, we hope to have Professor McCanny and Tim Alexander to make comments about what happened on the weekend with Donald Trump.